Hey guys, here with another weekly draft video here on the Neat Zone Magic channel. Battle for Zendikar out in the real world, but it's still not in Magic Online, so we're going to do one last Magic Origins draft, sort of as a farewell to the format. I'm kind of hoping I open some wacky mythic that I can build around, like Demonic Pact or something. That'd be a lot of fun, so see what happens. I'll be back with you when the first pack opens. Alright, looks like our first pack is opening. Wow, we got Archangel of Tides. It's not a wacky mythic at all, but it's one that I haven't managed to open yet. And it's definitely one that we're going to slam because it's really, really good. You do have to be in a deck really committed to white to make it work. And obviously we'll try to do whatever we can to make it work. Other really good cards in the pack are Aroas' Champion, Stalwart Aven. That's probably it for like the really good cards, but obviously Deadbridge Shaman, Disperse, Ringward Owl, things like that are all plenty playable as well. But we're going to take the Archangel, the Mythic. We did open a Mythic, just not a wacky one, but I'm okay with that. It's still a Mythic I've never played with. Now here's a wacky Mythic. I don't even think I would have taken that one if I started with it. We're probably going to take Consul's Lieutenant or Topin Freeblade here. I doubt the Great Aurora is worth much because it's basically only worth anything in Commander or casual play. So, but let's see. Also a foil Noble Hierarch. Yeah, it's 48 cents. It's Honored Hierarch, rather. I wish it was a foil Noble Hierarch. He's also not worth anything, which I didn't really expect. So the question is Topin Freeblade or Consul's Lieutenant. I think the Lieutenant's better, especially if we're going like all in on white. The Freeblade's better because it's easier to cast, but since we have a triple white card, I think we can afford to just pick up the Lieutenant here. All right, and here's Demonic Pact. Wow. Well, things are getting weird here. It's worth about 2 tickets. We also have Bogart Brood, Unholy Hunger. I'm kind of leaning towards the Brute and not taking the Pact. Although, I mean, we could just sort of turn into the black-white enchantment deck, but those 2 colors actually don't have a good way of dealing with the Demonic Pact. You need blue for Disperse or green for its enchantment destruction. So I think I'd probably just take the Brute here. I could stay white, I guess, and take the Griffin, not commit to anything, but I think the Brute's better than the Griffin, so... There's also a Shambling Ghoul, which is good, but I think the Brute's better, so we'll take him. So if that Aroas' Champion came back, we'd be pretty happy, but it probably will not. That one almost never seems to wheel. Interesting here. We have Herald of the Pantheon, who's plenty good, but not incredible. The rest of the cards in this pack are really subpar, so I'm probably just going to take the Herald. We may be green-white instead of red-white. I mean, Goldforge Sentinel's okay, but, you know, this is a format about 2-drops, and this is a 2-drop with a text box that can sometimes be relevant. We could pick up Suppression Bonds and things like that. So, yeah, I think that's where I go for now. Definitely don't want even Battle Priest. Sigiled Starfish is pretty good and still around, but I think I'm just going to take the Knight of the Pilgrim's Road. Yeah, and sort of cut white from the pack since we really need to be white for our deck to be at its greatest power, at least so far. So, yeah, Grasp of the Heromancer too is the other common enchantment that we'll probably get 1 copy of if we stay white, that Herald of the Pantheon's good with. But we could still be red, I don't know. So, okay, well, white's definitely open if Knightly Valor's still around, and that's definitely what we're taking. It's good with our Herald of the Pantheon as well. So I think that's what we do there. Knightly Valor is very good. I don't know if it's still underrated, but it was in the early going. But yeah, I'm glad to see a Knightly Valor that late. There was an Enshrouding Mist too, which is a fine card. More than fine, really. It's the best combat trick in this format, although this format just doesn't have super strong combat tricks. But that's a pretty good one. It would be in any format, so... Yeah. This thing is a pretty cool card. Be useful for my Commander decks as well. Okay, we don't want a Crowan Jailer. All we've got left here are good red cards, really. Hitchclaw Recluse is fine, but I think I just take a Subterranean Scout and maybe we end up playing it if we go red. So these 2 gold cards are wheeling. I'll take an Automaton here. It's a card that has sort of surprised me. Been better than I expected it to be in this format. The gaining 3 life and the body are both relevant a lot of the time. It can trade with most creatures in the format and gain you life, so it's pretty sweet. Probably should have picked up that Recluse instead of the Scout since I'm already in green probably. But the Recluse, like, we want to be an aggressive deck probably, and the Recluse isn't really going to enable that. If the Iroas' Champion comes back around, I might have to consider cutting the Herald. In fact, I probably would, because the Scout and the Brute and the Iroas' Champion are definitely stronger than the Herald is. What do we have here? Okay. Yoke Docks isn't really what I'm looking for. Could take a Dragon Fodder. Or a Disperse away from somebody. Disperse is probably the better card, but we could end up going red, so let's take the Dragon Fodder. No Iroas' Champion. I'll pick up a Meteorite here, since it can enable splashing if we decide to do that. I'll take a Chandra's Fury. White was looking open, but not so much now, so it's good to pick up these red playables and the Meteorite to enable splashing. This is the best card out of all of those, sadly. Would have been cool to open Alhamaret's Archive and just take every Healing Hands we see, but it didn't happen. Yeah, I'll take a Magmatic Insight. And the awful Prism Ring. Alright, so this is where we stay. We only got 6 playables. And we really want to try to stay in white, which is hard because everyone knows by now, especially, that it's the strongest color in the format. We did get this late Knightly Valor, though. So, I don't know. Maybe the people at the table just aren't fans of Knightly Valor. Okay, well, there's another sign we should stay in green, although we have the very good Fiery Impulse. Outland Colossus is massive and scary and hard to deal with. But also like to take a Leaf Gilder, or Chief of the Foundry wouldn't be bad, but Fiery Impulse and Outland Colossus are really the 2 strongest cards, although Tower Geist is too, but the 2 strongest cards for us to consider. And Acolyte of the Inferno too, actually. But I think we go with the Colossus, who, if your opponent doesn't have removal, just runs them over. So let's go with that. I haven't gotten a chance to play with the Colossus either in draft. So despite all the drafts I've done, I've managed to get a Mythic and a Rare that I've never actually gotten a chance to play, both of which were on my Magic Origins coming out top 10 list of bombs you want to open in pack 1, and now I got both of them. That's pretty nice. Okay. Elvish Visionary, Dwynen's Elite. It's a hard one. I mean, the Dwynen's Elite has more upside, I guess, but the drawing a card I do really like, but we're still seeing white, sort of. Not much of it, but I think we just take Dwynen's Elite here because it has more upside, and we're liable to get some Elvish Visionaries and stuff. So I'll take the Dwynen's Elite. And there's a Charging Griffin and a Leaf Gilder, though. I think now that we have, we want to be able to ramp into some stuff. I think the Leaf Gilder seems good. White is definitely being taken by people. We may just end up having to move into green-red, I guess, and not play our Archangel. We don't have any removal yet, so that's a little scary, but we do have a high power level so far. Like the only like Knight of the Pilgrim's Road and Guardian Automaton are the only two cards in here that I would say are not above average. They're just sort of average. Um, we have Enshrouding Mist here, and I think that's what we take. If the red cards were in here were stronger, it might convince me to move over, but Infectious Bloodlust just isn't that good most of the time. So I think I'm satisfied with getting an Enshrouding Mist. I mean, we have a Meteorite, but I mean, maybe we could splash Knightly Valor, but we'd probably have to cut everything else, and we'd have to run the Meteorite to make that splash work, probably, and even then it's not going to be that great. So, although we're desperate for removal, so Meteorite may be something we need anyway, so we'll see. Gythian Tactics. Reeve Soul, huh? That's still around. Prickle Boar. We have a Llanowar Empath. I think that's what I take here over the Orchid Spirit. Reeve Soul is definitely the strongest card in the pack. I also like Prickle Boar. But I think it's Prickle Boar and Llanowar Empath are probably comparable. Orchid Spirit's fine too, but we'll take the Elf. We have some Elf, a little bit of Elf synergy with our Dwynen's Elite, and Llanowar Empath is just such a really good card anyway. You know, being able to draw you a card most of the time is very nice. All right, Stalwart Haven's still around. That's a good sign. That's what we're going to take over the Hitchclaw Recluse or a second Automaton. The white may just not have been great that got open. Okay, I could take a Caves of Koilos and try to splash black. Or I could just be smart and take a Pharika's Disciple or an Enshrouding Mist. And I think we take the Disciple. Yeva's Force Mage is fine. Caustic Caterpillar, if we see one later, would be a nice sideboard card to pick up. Okay, Chief of the Foundry is also fine. Nothing exciting, but okay. So now there's nothing for us. I think I'll just take either the Stratus Walk. I'll take the Ring Ward now, I guess, away from somebody. Another Automaton. How good is Elemental Bond in our deck? Not very. Okay, so taking the Automaton over the Gorger is what I think I want to do. It helps make our mana more reasonable to try to play triple white than it does to add another green card. And like I said, the Automaton's pretty good, and we have some synergy with it anyway with our Chief of the Foundry now. Might of the Masses is another good combat trick, and I think I'm going to take the main board combat trick over the sideboard Aerial Volley removal spell. But we definitely want to see some removal in this last pack. We'll take a Tactics. Our deck might make use of it. We do have a lot of dudes, and with the Archangel, it'd be really gross. Prism Ring. Got two of those now. What a surprise. You know, if they'd printed Prism Ring in Battle for Zendikar, it might actually have gotten played because of the black-white archetype liking to gain life, but there's no, they didn't. You know, they didn't print one of these charms when it might have actually been playable with a life gain strategy. That's too bad. Helm of the Gods, no thanks. Well, this pack is really bad. Like, there's nothing for us in it, really. Jessian Thief, Seismic Elemental are probably the two best cards in it, I would say. Skyraker Giants, of course, very good too. Might of the Masses is fine, but definitely not something you want to be first picking. And we don't want to first pick an Aerial Volley, even less. And Auramancer, we have one enchantment. But again, you don't really want to be first picking a freaking Auramancer. At least I don't want to be. But, you know, it's probably better to take something I'll actually play than take something away from somebody, even though first picking it seems weird. So I think it's either the Auramancer or a second Might of the Masses. And since we don't have removal, I think using these combat tricks to get rid of our opponent's creatures is a good idea. So we'll take Might of the Masses. Ooh, Relic Seeker. We don't have equipment yet, but he's still a 2-mana 2/2 with Renown 1, and we, like, this deck likes Renown. We don't have a huge number of Renown synergies other than Enshrouding Mist, but we could pick up some more. Grasp of the Heromancer and Enlightened Ascetic are both good sideboard cards, but we don't really need a third Might of the Masses, but we'll take the Relic Seeker, though. Goblin Pile Drive. Ooh, yeah. All right. Sentinel the Eternal Watch is one of the bigger bombs in the format. And, you know, especially at uncommon. Separatist Void Mage is obviously good too, as is Shambling the rest of this pack's kind of mediocre though. Pile Driver's not very good in the format unless you like if I'd opened him today wanting to do a wacky draft, and I would have taken like every goblin I saw afterwards just for fun. Then he might have been okay, but there also could have ended up being not enough goblins, and my deck could have been awful. But anyway, Sentinel the Eternal Watch it is. We do have one Leaf Gilder, so we have a little bit of ramp and 6 mana. You know, for that effect is perfectly reasonable because it's so strong, and we can cut something else. So white definitely. Oh, Citadel Castellan, come on down. Yeah, this deck's coming together now. Even though we haven't picked up a lot of removal, any really. Like our creatures are really strong and going to be hard for our opponent to deal with. Amperin Tactician, huh? I may want to take Hitchclaw Recluse here over the Tactician, although the Tactician's just so good with all these renowned guys because it just helps push them through. Gearcrafter's still here. Gearcrafter and Bounding Crassus are the best cards left in this pack, but I'll take the Tactician, I think. We do have a lot of 4-drops, probably going to have to do some trimming. We have another good combat trick here in Titanic Growth. There's also an Evolving Wilds, which is actually what I think I'm going to take because we want to hit double white, triple white even, and double green, frequently enough that I think I'd like to have 1 Wilds in my deck to make the mana a little more viable. Titanic Growth's good, but we have 3 combat tricks already, and yeah, I mean, third one would be nice, but I'm going to take the Wilds here. After I do this, I could also take the Battlefield Forge and splash something from over here, but we don't really need to. So after I take this, there'll probably be an Evolving Wilds in the next pack too. So that would kind of suck because then I would have taken the Titanic Growth. Right? Well, we've got a ton of creatures already, and a second Enshrouding Mist seems especially good in our deck filled with renowned guys, so I think we take that over the Knight. Yeah, we do. We do indeed. Right, well, this may basically end up being our deck, depending on what we see in the last few packs. With these 1-mana spells being our removal, or, Might of the Masses can be huge. In the late game to push through a bunch of damage too. So we've got lots of good 2-drops, although I wouldn't mind picking up one more 2-drop, but it's probably not going to happen now because there just aren't going to be any good ones left. Take this Deadbridge Shaman away from somebody because there's nothing for us. 5 2-drops is pretty good, but this Topin Freeblade would have been nice. I mean, I took the Lieutenant over him, and I think that was probably right, especially after taking an Archangel of the Tides, but that Vigilance. But we do have, crazy strong cards, an Outland Colossus, Sentinel the Eternal Watch, Archangel of Tithes is also good. Knightly Valor's pretty high power level too, I'd say, as is the Castellan and the Lieutenant. Pretty happy. And we have a little bit of elf stuff going on, so we may get an elf token every now and again. I guess I'll take an Auramancer here. Alright, I do like taking... We don't need another combat trick. I do like getting this for my sideboard, though, because we didn't have any way to blow up enchantments or artifacts. I'll take Heavy Infantry. Probably isn't going to have a space in our deck, nor is even Battle Priest, so I think I'm just going to take a 2-drop away from somebody. Volcanic Rambler away from somebody, since it's, okay, though not amazing. And yeah, this will be our deck. I think we can get away with 17 lands. It's like a second Leaf Gilder would have been nice, especially now that we have a 6-drop, but our curve's generally low with 2 5-drops and a 6-drop. The Evolving Wilds can help us fix. We only need 2 green for 1 card, but we need double white for 3 cards. So I'll probably actually run more white than green. I'm glad I decided to pick up the artifacts that I picked up because it helps, if these were all green cards, it would be harder to make things work. And they're fine. I mean, they're not, none of them are amazing. Although the Chief of the Foundry is amazing if you build a Thopter deck, but they're all fine and they work well together too, so. Okay, I could shove Meteorite in here to have some sort of removal. That isn't a combat trick, but I don't think I want to do that. We don't have any. I mean, This only matters with artifact creatures. If we had stuff that cared about artifacts, or we had like a 7-drop, I might think about it. But like playing Meteorite on turn 5 isn't going to help us play our Sentinel much more quickly. And yeah, we got the one good sideboard card. We didn't pick up any green sideboard cards. Yeah, green. Interestingly, I guess we were just not picking up a lot of green cards. We passed some aerial volleys and stuff. But yeah, I think this is our deck. Sort by color. I think we actually have more. Yeah, we have more white cards too anyway, so running more white just makes sense. Yeah, 9/7 is probably reasonable, plus the Evolving Wilds, so I like that. Yeah, so this is our deck. I think it's a pretty strong one. I mean, its downfall will be if our opponent plays a big bomb, then, we don't have a lot of ways of dealing with that other than playing our own bombs, which, is a good way of dealing with them. I mean, we can also combat trick stuff out of the way, but we're going to be wanting to run our opponent over early. I mean, Sentinel of the Eternal Watch can deal with a lot since it can just tap down whatever their bomb is, so getting that would be good too. So, but I think this deck, has really strong creatures and it's got a good curve, so should make a good showing, I think. So, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.